Hello, everybody. This is Monday, April the 7th, 2025. I am John Blank. I do have a PhD from MIT in economics, and I am going to go through today the great business solutions groups. Obviously, today is a poor day for the stock market, but you're going to see some great businesses that are now being priced fairly well for you. And you see some great charts of how these performed over the last few years and why these types of businesses are really, really attractive for investors. So what I will get is for you out of the great business solutions groups are the top Zacks business services stocks. That's our quest today. And a lot of these stocks, a lot of the stocks you probably own either in an index fund or directly. And they're well-known names a lot of times, but there are some new names, which we will talk about as well, that are pulled up by our third type of ranking, the top stock side largest 1 month percentage change in estimates. They will give us the small names that you don't know that are kind of interesting. So, like I've always needs to do, these are my views. They are not necessarily the views of Zacks Investment Research. You can read the rest of this at your leisure. Okay, so here's the review table we always have. I do want to point out this is the market cap table for industry class 59, business services. These are the top analysts, so market cap and analysts, so these are the big stocks. And over here is the annual percentage change in earning estimates. And these are, as you can see in this category, the smaller cap stocks. We will talk about Airship AI, Gorilla Tech, Bowman Consulting, and UiPath. These are the ones that are up here, and they're very interesting. But for the most part, we also talk about the big names you do know: Visa, MasterCard, S&P, Fiserv, Waste Management, AppLovin, Meituan, and Recruit Holdings. You probably do not know. They are both, one is Chinese, the other is, I think, European. Cintas, we will talk about. Thomson Reuters, we will talk about. Republic Services, which is the second to Waste Management, we will talk about, and so on and so forth. So, as you can see, of course, you own Visa, MasterCard, S&P. In an S&P 500, you certainly do. And over here, you can see we've got some names we'll also cover. Fiserv appears again. Visa and MasterCard appears again. We'll talk about global payments. And we will talk about Cintas at some point in time as well, which is in Cincinnati. It's a uniforms supplier. They've gotten absolutely huge now. They're $882 billion company. Okay, so I always come back to this table for the tickers, the company names, the market cap, and where they rank in these three areas. This gives you your nice big perspective on this industry we're looking at today. All right, top stocks by market capitalization. Let's get through those big names. And number one, of course, is MasterCard. Here's a return on equity for MasterCard over the last 20 years. And you can see return on equity just keeps going up and up and up. And now we're over this number of that beats basically everything. Um, just an amazing job. And this is all because of what its business is. Here's the chart. And this is giving you the same story. The earnings just keep going up, 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 and now we're here. However, big sell-off of late, of course. We'll see how this plays out for this stock. Certainly want to hold off like everybody else and wait for a better turn, but the value is in it now. That mainly needs to be said. A lot of big cycles in these ROEs and some of these names. Not so clear about what has happened. This is Thomson Reuters. This is actually fairly new stock, but moving a lot. This one's S&P Global, which is really came down during COVID. They had a nice business up into COVID, and then they lost a lot of business during COVID. But keep in mind, this is an old company in 1966, and they have one operating segment, payment solutions. Talk about Visa later, so just keep in mind that this is relatively simple business. They've got one segment, that is payment solutions. Okay, waste management. I'm going to pull out, and Thomson Reuters I'm going to pull out. Again, look at these charts. There's Thomson Reuters. That's the thing of beauty. Here is waste management, also a thing of beauty. Just cannot have a better chart and a better run for the last 5 years for these two names. What does waste management do? Of course, they're the leader in waste management services in North America. That is, they are collecting garbage, waste, and recycled materials. They also process commodities and recycling brokerage. You can actually sell materials that you collect. Thomson Reuters, they provide information and technology to law, tax, accounting, financial services, higher ed, reference, corporate training, science research, and healthcare. So they're a big information provider now. Reuters, of course, we all know. Thomson Reuters merged right about here. You can see 2017, 2018. That's the big jump up in their value. Since then, they've been kind of toggling around, but it's still forward PE of 44, really high. Waste management at forward PE of 30. These are not cheap stocks at this point in time. But they aren't overvalued that much. It's where they've been in 27, 2018, and that's been 6, 7 years. Um, so obviously, you know, waste management, Thomson Reuters, and MasterCard. These are the big names. All right. Fiserv, number two ranked buy. Again, there was a big acquisition in 2019, a point of sale system called Clover. That has been their driver. This basically card processing thing at the front of retailers called Clover. Take a look at it next time you're looking at a retailer, see if it's got a Clover system. That's driving Fiserv up into a number two ranked stock. They're up in Brookfield, which is a suburb of, I believe, Milwaukee. And for 12,000 clients in banking, insurance, healthcare, and investment industries. They do all kinds of works across all these things. There's your billers, retailers, and merchants, and that is this Clover thing. That's been their grower. Look at this. Look at this chart from that period of time out of COVID. They didn't have much. Of course, people weren't shopping that much, and then boom, they just exploded. Um, really an interesting story. Very good tactical decision to buy Clover. However, they did it. However, it worked. Can't complain about that. What do you do now? Of course, they're pulling back, um, like everything else. Reinvestment rates. Of course, if you reinvest really highly, you should be positive about your business. AppLovin's one, ticker APP. It is number one ranked stock. Cintas is another, the number two ranked stock. And again, look at these charts. A thing of beauty in both cases. AppLovin a little bit later in materializing because it's basically an app store stock, and this is kind of a AI thing. As these apps get more use and more interest from people at this point in time than they did a few years ago. Cintas, again, just an extraordinary name out of the COVID environment. They really didn't, do poorly, but it doubled its money from 23 at 120 to 220 up late. And what they do is they have more than 1 million businesses of all types get ready to open their doors. Wide range of products and services enhance the image and help their facilities clean, safe, and looking their best. So basically, they provide uniforms and cleaning services for those uniforms, basically what I understand. Restroom supplies, though, uniforms, of course, first aid, safety products, fire extinguishers, safety and compliance training. Help the workday. So they just go in, these companies, and help them out with all kinds of stuff. And look at the reinvestment rate. They've been making money for a good 12, 13 years when they turned this business together and put it up. AppLovin, not so old, you can see, of course, is a stock, but doing quite well with the reinvestment. And there's their earnings they're driving off that reinvestment. Really nice two names to know about. Look at that big pullback in app, though. Be aware of it. We're in the midst of this massive correction, if not a recession coming. Depreciation, amortization. So who's coming up? Charts here. This is Republic Services, the second largest provider non-hazardous waste. Again, look at the chart. I mean, you can do a lot of business surfacing and collection services, transfer services like Waste Management, Republic are so necessary, right? I mean, they're so necessary. You cannot live without them, and they just grow really nicely as businesses. Collecting stuff from commercial, residential, industrial, and other places. A lot of the cities are apparently handing in these businesses off to these groups, make them much more centralized, and they make more money. All right. So now the max number of analysts. What we got here is Equifax. Again, a really choppy chart, but a very nice pattern to its earnings. They are a data analytics and technology company, kind of like a in the range of S&P and Moody's and other groups. Broadridge, I just want to point out they do the proxy's annual reports, perspective, and trade conference for a lot of people. Look at that business. A thing of beauty. You're just not going to find any of these charts to do anything but look really well. Look at Xylem. This is a full water process cycle, collection, distribution, and return of water to the environment. Super nice chart. IRM, super nice chart. Ticker ROL, Rollins Termite Control, super nice chart. Again, look at this. How many charts just look great in this business? They're not really well-known businesses. They're just broad businesses, broad business service businesses. Collecting your water, collecting your waste, providing your information, providing your annual report, whatever it is, these types of businesses do really well. Net margin, of course, here is the nice leader. That is S&P Global, SPGI. And of course, unlike when we talked about with MasterCard, there's a lot of businesses here. Ratings, of course. Market intelligence, of course. Platts, you may or may not know, they're a commodity engine market provider. If you're looking for great oil and gas information, Platts is where you go. Indices, of course. You know that name. And look at this net margin, 27% net margin. Cintas is the next one at 17%. Visa and MasterCard, of course, just giant margins. Visa at 54%, MasterCard at 45%. I mean, it's crazy that duopoly, how much money they make, and that there's really, no antitrust about it all. It's kind of crazy. Anyways, dividend yield to 10-year, of course, where's the value? I pulled up this company, Global Payments, which is a PE of 6.7. It's just doing nothing for the last 3-4 years. But the earnings are actually quite strong. I don't know what's going on here. It does look like a kind of a COVID event that it never recovered from. And it's been dancing down here a number of times at these lows. But if you're looking for a good value, dividend yield, the 10-year treasury yield desk provides it, and GPN is jumping out at you really nicely. A nice stock to know about from a valuation perspective. CapEx to depreciation, of course, here we got Visa. Look at Visa's chart. Just insane coming out of COVID. That's the retail spending boom, the restrained consumer that was unrestrained and just went crazy. These are all kinds of Visa branded payment solutions. And they had other things they do, fraud and risk management, debit card issuing, loyalty services, dispute management, tokenization, consulting analytics. They do a lot, and they're building their CapEx up, as you can see, pretty steadily. And that is, of course, meaning their business is quite strong. We know that because they have 50% net margin. Who wouldn't be building a business like that? All right, total debt to capital percentages. Down here, we got Shift 4, ticker 4. Again, coming out of the COVID period, Shift 4 payments in Allentown. The stock had just plunged up late, of course. But this is one of these payment solutions and technology providers you don't know about. They're not big, 4. They do make real money. This is, they're up in the $5 a share category at a $110 stock. They're worth knowing about in this turndown. All right, here's our small companies that you're going to additionally add to 4 and, put them on your list. Number 1, we've got Strong by UiPath, ticker PATH, end-to-end platform, automation, robotic process automation solutions for digital services. So UiPath, really big name during COVID, then they've just been doing nothing. But the estimate revisions are picking up. The revenue they're the biggest. And again, I like to talk about bigger names. NVRI, Enviri, Environmental Services. They're in Philadelphia. Not a great chart either, both of these little names. Been dancing around. I mean, this is really the story of the small cap names. They have gone nowhere since COVID. You can just see that yourself. And businesses haven't done as well. It's been really about those big giant businesses like MasterCard, Visa, S&P, Cintas, Waste Management, Republic. These little businesses, they're number one ranked in terms of UiPath, but nobody's buying. Nobody's buying, and you need to pay attention to that. Cash flow yield, Bowman Consulting. Here's a chart that's more interesting because you get the growth in some buying that took place up at least a year ago. They provide planning, engineering, construction management, commissioning, environmental consulting. This is the infrastructure plan thing. And there was a bid on it for a while, and they do have a really nice cash flow yield. That's a 9% cash flow yield. Uh, really strong for their business, and it's been stable. They're not a new business, but they're number one strong rank buy. If you want a little cap name, BWMN, Bowman. All right, price to free cash flow. This is a really interesting name to know about if you like a Chinese stock. Again, same pattern. Nobody's buying these small cap names the last 4 years. But Gorilla Technology is based in Taipei, and they do security intelligence, network intelligence, business intelligence, and Internet of Things technology, smart cities, smart retail, enterprise security, smart media. Gorilla, GRRR. Man, I mean, they're getting it together. Finally getting out of the red and moving in up. It just sounds like a great business. Worth looking into at this point in time, what they do and looking into their products. You can probably find them online. GRRR, number 2 ranked stock for us. Airship Holdings, AISP, AI-driven video sensor and data management surveillance. Very new company. Very weak price. This is a $4 share stock. It just jumps out though, and I thought I'd put it on your radar screen. It's an interesting business. These AI businesses are also finding their way into these giant businesses, and some of these will work. Some of them get bought these giant companies. We'll have to see. All right, that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm sure this is more interesting than you expected it to be, and I hope you learned a little about how these giant complex businesses that provide business solutions are some of the great businesses to own as an investor, not only as a trader, but as an investor, putting in your portfolio, locking them away. And, as I think I showed you, the small cap names are not doing much in the space. They're interesting, but they're not doing much for shareholders, and the big names are doing quite well. The story of our world right now, these big names are the place to be. We'll see what happens after this giant pullback, but I hope this helped. Please give us a call to get these slides, or send us an email, or find us on the web. If you want to call us, 866-794-6065. If you want to send us an email, strategycall@zackspro.com. If you want to find us on the web, www.zackspro.com. We also have a LinkedIn page, Zacks Professional Services, and you can find us on Twitter at ZA Tools. That's it for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly have learned a lot doing it, and we'll regroup here in a couple weeks. Talk to you.